Reclaim your mornings with the Sway, the original heatless hair curling ribbon from Maine Label Hair Co. As busy moms and entrepreneurs who each run their own businesses, Molly, a fashion designer, and Misty, a hairstylist and salon owner, wanted to find an easy way to get beautiful, healthy curls without spending half the morning in front of a mirror. Together, they created the Sway. The Sway curls without heat, so it won't damage your hair. It's soft and luxurious and comfortable to sleep in, so you can wear it overnight and wake up looking glam. Made in the USA from plush cotton velour or cruelty-free piece silk. It's also a super cute accessory that's available in lots of beautiful colors, so you can put it in and wear it out. I wear this all the time, and I wear it out all the time, and it never fails. I always get a compliment on one, how cute it looks, and two, people cannot believe that I'm actually curling my hair. It's one of my favorites. I absolutely love it. No matter what type of hair you have, the Sway can help you achieve beautiful, healthy curls with minimal effort, so you can spend more time doing what you love with whom you love. The Sway makes a great gift, and Molly and Misty want to offer more than your age listeners a chance to get a great deal. Go to ManeLabelHairCo.com, that's MANE, labelhairco.com to get yours today and use the code more than your age at checkout for 10% off your entire order. With lots of great accessories like scalp massagers, brushes, scrunchies, headbands, and more, it's easy to find a gift or something for yourself. So use code more than your age for 10% off today at ManeLabelHairCo.com. That's ManeLabelHairCo.com. Well, I am excited to introduce my guest for today's show. Joining me on the More Than Your Age podcast is pastry chef and owner of the Parisian-inspired pastry shop in Lake Charles, Louisiana, the Bekery, Rebekah Hoffpauir. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
I am so excited to have you here, Rebekah. I know I shared with you that I heard about you through my mom, who is a Lake Charles native, and she saw you on the news and learned about you and your bakery, and she shared your story with me, or shared the news, not article, but the news story with me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to have her on this show. She would be perfect. And I think I also mentioned I have a lot of family that they live in Lake Charles still, and so next time I go down, I have to check out your bakery. I've just seen the pictures and everything that you have done. It looks beautiful and perfect. So I'm looking forward to that. But I do want to, we will go back and kind of hear your background and your story, but I want you to start off and just share about your bakery, what it is you serve, and any specialty items, and what can people expect when they visit.
So I focus mainly on like artisan breads, croissants, quiche. We have cinnamon rolls, muffins, scones, all the way to specialty sandwiches, salads. We also have great coffees, teas, and champagne for mimosas. I really just want to give people in Lake Charles, or anybody that visits, I want them to feel transported to Europe, really.
Oh, I love that, because there is like a special uniqueness about like when you go to a cafe in Europe compared to like a coffee shop here. There's definitely a difference, and there's a feel about it. And just based on the pictures I've seen of your bakery, I'm like, ooh, she got that right.
It's beautiful.
Well, it is. I mean, just the pictures, I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, where is this at? Because I know Lake Charles, but I don't think I know that specific area. Well, okay. Also, I want to know, what is your favorite item on the menu? Like your favorite food item, favorite coffee item that you like to make yourself, and then that you like to partake.
Favorite, I love making the croissants, just the layers. Just the whole art of it is very fascinating to me, and I never get tired of it. Like every time I roll a croissant and see the layers, I'm amazed every time. What I like to eat right now, we have a pistachio cream cheese Danish with raspberry, and I can't get enough of it. And I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but and then coffee, I'm not a big coffee drinker. Uh, but we have a very great matcha, and so
Mm,
every morning I have my matcha drink.
lovely. Matcha's all the rage. My sister-in-law, she's like, I'm over coffee. I'm into matcha. I'm like, okay. To go back to your childhood and growing up, what was your interest level in baking or cooking, and when did all of this begin? How did it all start?
Bread has just always been a love of mine, and baking has always been a love since my very first Easy Bake Oven. Been a way for me to like connect with people and show my appreciation and love because I was so shy growing up. It was hard for me to communicate, so I could always count on baking as a way for me to show my love and just bring happiness to a room. It's just always been something I've had a passion for.
That's neat. So, like, do you remember at what age you were given an easy bake oven, or that you kind of were introduced to start making bread or some type of pastry? Do you remember when that happened?
I don't remember the age, but I do remember I was very young, probably 8 or so or younger when I got my Easy Bake Oven. And breads really all started with the Pillsbury croissant dough. I just loved baking it. And just anytime, any kind of roll, my whole family knows where like I just went straight for the rolls always growing up. So just love bread.
Do you, because I know so many people are gluten free these days, do you offer gluten free options at the Bekery as well?
Unfortunately, we don't. I did try at one point, but our kitchen is such a small space and it's hard for us to offer truly gluten-free products because cross-contamination, like if somebody really is allergic to the gluten, it I don't want to risk it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Completely. I would be scared to do that myself if that were the
Yeah.
case. Well, so I read in an article too about you that you fell in love with coffee and bakeries when your family traveled to Europe, and you kind of mentioned too that you wanted that feel as well. And so, what was it about these places that brought you a lot of joy? And then I'm curious to know, where all did you travel?
And I traveled with my family. We traveled to Rome and Spain, and Florence, Italy. Just the whole European atmosphere is slower and just more romantic. And I was also an au pair in Verona, Italy for 2 months. And that's really when I would every day go to different bakeries, or I had my favorite bakery I would go to every day and still go to the other ones. It's just that atmosphere, it's hard to describe. No one's in a hurry. Everyone's enjoying the simple things, freshly baked croissant and espresso, and it's just a warm, cozy, inviting atmosphere.
When you were an au pair in you said Verona, Italy, correct?
Verona, yes.
Okay, Verona. So when you were there, did you think, like, as you were visiting these bakeries and these cafes, did you think like, oh, I want to do this back in like Charles or back in the States, or was it more of just, oh, this is amazing, like I love this. This is just like I love this slower pace of life. What were you thinking, kind of in that particular moment or those moments?
So before I went there right after I graduated college, I was at a place where I was scared to jump in and open a business, but I also knew I didn't want to work at an office job. And I was just kind of stuck. And I had a friend that was an au pair, so I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Italy. I know I want a bakery eventually. It's always going to be there. Let me go see other bakeries. And then that was my opportunity to actually like live somewhere with the family and be able to look at the bakeries and figure out what I wanted to bring back home.
Okay. So you also said something too that, okay, so this is post college, but you did go to college to study business management. And when you were like, when
Hmm.
you entered the university, did you think, yes, bakery one day, or more so, no, I'm going to, pursue something else that's more lucrative, that's more sustainable, or, that's not as risky? What were your thoughts or aspirations kind of at the beginning of school through graduation?
It was always the Bekery, really. I did get a little scared in college because we had, in the business classes, we had business mentors, and they sort of advised that business was hard and you don't like, and they were trying to get me into like franchising or going to work at a bakery first, and kind of like telling me don't go do that. That's like you're not going to make money. But I was like, well, that's what I love to do. That's what I want to do. So I'm just gonna keep doing it. So it's definitely, I always had the Bekery in mind. I did get scared at some points. I'm like, well, is it what I should do? Because the professors were definitely scaring me.
I love too that you heard what they're saying, but then you are like, no, I'm like, I still want to do this. Like this has been in my mind. This has been a dream. Like I'm going to chase after it. And so when you were taking your classes, did you simultaneously the entire time just think like, okay, how am I going to apply this information for my actual bakery that I'm going to have?
Yes, and let me think about that question. I definitely what because I at this time, like I still in college, I didn't know who I was, and I struggled to communicate with people. So I was in managing classes, and management, I understood the classes and what we were learning, but I was scared I wasn't going to be able to ever do that with my employees. I'm like, I can't tell an employee something. I still struggle to this day of like managing, and I struggle with managing. I don't know what to say. Sorry.
No, that's good. No, you're good. Well, I kind of have a follow up question with that, which I'm kind of jumping a little bit, but that's okay. So because, like you're saying, still struggle with management, like how have you seen personal growth in yourself as far as like you were saying, you baked because it was a way for you to communicate, and then communication, it
Hmm.
was not the easiest thing, and then like you were saying too, the management is a struggle. So how has there been personal growth just in that specific area of where you were initially to where you are now?
So I feel like I've grown personally because I never challenged myself to communicate until I opened. So it wasn't the best. I would always have my parents or my brothers communicate for me. I would tell them. It's just something I always had to work on, and something that was always difficult for me. And so when I opened, I was forced to speak to customers. And so just practicing, just getting out there and doing it, even scared, you just go out there, you talk to people, and 7 years later, I'm finally able to greet my customers.
That's amazing though. Like that's, I mean, when that was something that's not a comfort level for you, that you're, because of the nature of your business, like you're going to have to push yourself continually and then to get to where you are now. And the
Yeah.
fact that you've still been in business for 7 years, and that the customer service is still going strong, like that's a huge win for you. So I think that that's great to just hear that for you, Rebecca. Well, kind of to go back again to this story. So you spent some time in Italy and you were basically kind of researching these cafes and these bakeries, and then you come back, and I'd love to hear just kind of after at that point at what were the next steps for you to take to start the bakery, and kind of where were you in this timeline of post college to no, let's get this party started with the Bekery. and how did all that get rolling?
Yeah. So I was definitely scared because opening a business, you don't really know what to do. So I was still living at home. I started baking king cakes. It was Mardi Gras season. I started baking king cakes out of my parents' kitchen, and word kind of got out, and my mom was like, let's make a Facebook page. So she helped me. We made a Facebook page. She was definitely my social media person because, again, that scares me. So she helped me, and we created a Facebook page for the Bekery. And then I started making cookies. And my parents had just renovated their kitchen. They were like, you are ruining my kitchen, so you need to go ahead and get on out of here. And so we walled, my dad had an old warehouse. And so we walled off his warehouse to make the first Bekery location. It was a little tiny um, place right behind their office in their warehouse. And it just kept on growing from there.
Wow, that's really cool. Um, okay, so I know how you got your name for the Bekery, but would you share that with the listeners? Because I think it's a really cute concept.
So in high school, my friends and I, we were in my parents' kitchen. Of course, I was baking cookies. We were having fun, and we were trying to come up with different names. And then the Bekery was brought up, and I just thought it was funny and clever and cute. And I really never expected that name to be like as big as it is now, which is crazy to me. Um, but in high school, I remember doodling the Bekery all over everything. And senior year, my teacher, we wrote a letter to ourselves 5 years later, and that note had the Bekery doodled over it. So it's just always, that's just how it came about and stuck with it.
That's sweet. That's cool. So now I thought I read this too that you got it's like a mixture of Rebecca or Becca and then bakery to form Bekery. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. That's sorry. Yes, that
No.
is correct. Yeah, the name we the Rebecca and Becker. Yes.
Yeah, it's so clever. It's such a cute name and it's so catchy. And then like I bet the doodles made it look just beautiful because I think your logo is beautiful too. And so I like the name. It's a good name, Rebecca. It's a good name.
Thank
So when you
People are like, "All right, is
okay,
it German?" I'm like, "It's not German."
so you were baking the what are the cakes called for Mardi Gras? I know I should know this.
King cakes.
King cakes, yes, king cakes. I'm like, what is it? Okay, so you were baking the king cakes. You made the Facebook page. You were cooking in the or baking in the kitchen. Your parents are like, get out of here. This is renovated it. There's too much stuff going on, and so then you open up an official location in the warehouse at the back of the warehouse, where in your parents' office. So how old were you at that time? Do you remember?
I was 23.
Wow, that's so cool. I love it. Take that, college professors.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're 23 and you open up the Bekery, the official Bekery. How did you know, like I know you said you did croissants and then you had king cakes. How did you know what items to offer on your menu? And then also, where did the recipes come from or did you create them on your own?
So when I first opened, I had a very small menu. I had cookies, I had muffins, I had coffee cake, and that's because I truly didn't know how to make anything else. I knew I wanted to have croissants, but I didn't know how to make croissants, but I just had to go with what I knew at the time. And I found recipes out of cookbooks, Google, really, and you just kind of play with them and make them your own. My family would like always see me. I would just read cookbooks for fun. I love just learning new things, so I would always test out recipes. And so when I first opened, I started small with what I did know, and I eventually was able to keep learning and taking classes of croissants and breads, and that's how I learned how to make everything else.
That's a good lesson too, just in like you didn't have the repertoire that you have now, that you still had to take classes and keep learning. And that like it wasn't just this, I knew everything at this one point, but there was still progression in that. Now, in the first location, did you have seating in there, or was it mainly just walk in and purchase, or what did the aesthetics look like there, since you did have this vision of this kind of European bakery?
It was so in Europe, everything is very small. So my first bakery was very small. And you would walk in, you could see the pastries. There's only a few tables. And again, I wasn't a big coffee person, so I had a little Keurig, and people were definitely wanting better coffee, but that's what I had a Keurig, so that's what they got. Um, and so I always had the French music going, the European music, and always tried to create that vibe. It was very small and cozy, but we just grew out of it.
Now, when you were preparing to launch, or when you did launch for that specific location, was it just you? Was it this one woman show, or had you have hired additional employees at that point?
Yeah, so it was a one woman show. I would bake all through the night, and then in the morning I would open up. But I quickly realized that wasn't sustainable. And at first, my family were my employees. My mom was washing the dishes. My dad was up front selling things faster than I could produce them. My grandma was whipping up her meringue for her coconut pies. My brothers were running to the store for more butter. It was definitely, we were all a team trying to get that going because I was learning. We didn't know I was learning what to do. And so eventually I hired my first person. And as we grew, I would just eventually hire more and learn how to manage and be a boss.
Yeah, wow, I love that, the cohesiveness of your family. You probably have a very special family. The fact that they were all willing to jump in and assist you, for pursuing this
Definitely.
dream of yours. Yeah, that's amazing. Now, okay,
Definitely.
when you first opened to the point to where you just kept growing and growing, how much time had passed? And then my follow up question with that is, then at what point did you realize, okay, we've got to move somewhere else?
So within the first year, really, um, it
Wow.
was very crowded in there. But it was a very small space. I don't know the measurements, but it was tiny. I fit maybe four tables in there. And so people like Lake Charles never really had a bakery like this. So I feel like that's why people were very receptive to the idea and very just kept coming. So within the first year, my dad had to knock a wall down and expand more into his warehouse.
Oh, wow.
And so we did that, and we were like that for 5 more years. Um, and we actually made some more kitchen space too because I needed a bigger mixer, I needed bigger equipment, I needed more ovens. And um, so for 5 years, I worked with that. It got tough there at the end because it was like it just kept growing, and I wanted to do more. I knew I wanted to have like the artisan breads, and I didn't have that at that location. And so I was at a point where, do I want to stay this small, or do I want to keep on going and be do what I want to do, like offer like offer the community what I want, and if like and to be able to offer them what I wanted and give them the experience that I truly wanted them to have unfortunately, it had to be at a different location because I truly did love that location, but it couldn't work with what I wanted to do.
Okay, so then when that point happened of like, okay, it's not going to work here anymore, um, how did you find the place that you're at currently, and how long did it take to obtain that spot? And then, like, what was the transition to from going from your original spot to the new location?
So, there is this cute little neighborhood right down the road from the Bekery, and my dad is actually a developer, so he had the land and was able to build me uh, the location I am now. Um, and so while that was under construction, being built, we still were open at the other location, and we took a week off, moved everything over, trained with my employees at the new place, trained on breads and the ovens and everything, and then we opened back up at the new
Wow,
place.
just a week. Just a week in between. That's fascinating. Man, what a powerhouse team that you have.
Sorry.
I also wanted to ask you too, how, just because you kept growing so much, how did people hear about the Bekery, or what, did you have a lot of ads? Was it social media? Was it just word of mouth? How do you think, um, what do you think is the reason to explain just the rapid growth and how that happened?
Honestly, I give all the credit to social media. I rarely pay for ads. People would come to me and like I would be on the local news or the local magazines, but I never really went out there and purchased ads. I would at first I would give like a $5 little boost on Facebook to try to get it up there, but really it just kind of took off on Facebook and Instagram.
That's amazing. Were you also running your social media, or had you at this point hired somebody to handle that?
It was me, and it's still me.
Wow. How do you do it all, Rebecca?
It's a lot.
That's amazing. Yeah, because
I have a
it's
great
like, I
team.
mean, well, that's good. I mean, I guess too, because you are a pastry chef, you bake, like you have this visual design element, like you have that skills. But to think of like doing that, and then also the social media, I mean, it's an additional full, or it can be an additional full time job, and it's
No,
beautiful.
yeah,
I
no,
mean,
the days when there's no new posts, that's days where I'm overwhelmed and have no social media in me. Um, but I know I need to be better. I'm working on that.
So I kind of want to go back to kind of give like two perspectives of, if you recall the moment, like the very first moment of when you opened the Bekery in your first location at the warehouse, and then also the very first moment of opening at the new location. Do you just remember what it was like, and like the nerves and everything? I'd like to just hear about what you were feeling at that point.
So
Go ahead.
at the first location, I truly did not know what to expect. I was like, am I gonna have a customer? I don't know. Like, I hope somebody comes and buys this cookie or this cake. Um, so it was very slow because I didn't advertise. I wanted, because I was scared. I was like, I didn't advertise. I was learning. I just had a few things. So I would, my parents' office was right in front, like it was connected to the Bekery. So I would go and sit in my mom's office and we would see somebody drive up. We're like, customer. And we would like run to the Bekery and we like act like, hey, like, what would you like? But it was just very slow. We were excited with every customer we got. Some customers, like I remember my first $100 day. It was and then you just kept on coming up, and it just we were excited for every customer going in there at the old location. And then jumping to the new location, I just remember standing there on the first day, really just like it was a surreal feeling like this is like this place it's yours and this is what we've all built together and just I was so proud of my team and my family and just very grateful and thankful and that feeling really was like pretty it was just very surreal that we did it.
Yeah, I bet it was. It's just like me listening to you. I'm so excited, like thinking about, especially the first, your first location where you're back with your mom, and then a customer pulls up, and you're like, "Someone's here!" and you run out, and like
Yeah,
that's just super
customer, we
exciting.
would run out like, hey.
Yeah, I bet that was just like the best feeling ever. And then now you've got thousands and thousands. I'm sure, so many more. That's pretty remarkable. I also want to know with this now your current location, just a little bit of the aesthetics of like when someone walks in, what does it look like? And can you share just a little bit about that so we can have like a little bit of a visualization for those who are not in the Lake Charles area?
So when you drive up, you immediately just know it's different than anything else you've seen. Um, with the slate tile roof and the plants and the windows, it's just a very the landscaping is just a very beautiful location. And then when you walk in, there's chandeliers and hand painted crown molding. It's just something beautiful. I don't know how to describe it. It just definitely makes you feel like you're in Paris and you see all the baked goods, the espresso machine, the smells, the noises. I still have the French music, and it just really transports you.
And you got rid of the Keurig.
Got rid of the Keurig. I hired one of my good friends to come help me with coffee, and so I do like coffee now. Though I do love a good espresso, and I'm working on my latte art. But I definitely knew that if I got any bigger, I needed good coffee. So I my friend helped me come up with a really good coffee program, and so now we have great coffee and croissants.
Perfect. A perfect match. Well, so I kind of asked you this question slightly earlier, just about what have you been most proud of regarding communication, like with the management and whatnot. But also, I want to ask, like, what have been your most, like, additional, what have been your most proud moments just in the midst of this entire process from starting on Facebook to where you are today?
Um, I think professionally, most proud was like maybe going on vacation for the first time and being able to keep the shop open. Because it just shows what great of a team that we've all built, and I was able to actually go and have fun and trust my team that they got it. So that's because at the old place, like I I was there 23 to 22 hours a day. It was a lot. Sleeping on the
Wow.
floors and just doing what needed to be done to get through. And so being able to build such a great place and team to, because at some points I felt like, do I ever get a break? Is this what it's going to be? So when I finally got that break and was able to go without having to close down the Bekery for a week, um, that was a really great feeling. Um, Another great feeling maybe was when I was able to buy this piece of equipment that I've wanted for years. I was finally able to purchase it. Um, Being featured in Southern Living magazine, I feel like that still hasn't hit me, but that was a pretty proud moment.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, especially because, just Lake Charles is, for those who don't know it, it's not a huge town. It's a small town, and to be featured on
So,
Southern Living, like that's a huge accomplishment. And then the fact that you survived through COVID is another huge accomplishment, just as an outsider looking in, and that. I really just love that you opened, and really social media is what helped bring people in, and then I'm sure additionally word of mouth for other individuals. And I just love too the fact that you said, like, when you were in college, your professors really discouraged you from starting off and pursuing owning your own business, but this was still this dream of yours and this passion, and you still went after it and did it, and you're doing it. And you were 23 when you first opened. And I would love to hear too, just for if somebody else, no matter their age, whether they're right out of college or they're in their late 60s, early 70s, and they're wanting to start a business, what advice would you share with them as they are beginning this new endeavor? And maybe what would you caution them against as well?
I would definitely advise them to not feel like they have to have it all figured out when they start because truthfully, no one has it figured out. Begin small, begin with what you know, and always have your mind open to learning new methods or whatever it is you're working towards. And just like slowly grow, slowly incorporate, never stop learning. And then in 7 years, you'll look back and it'll all be worth it.
Yeah, imagine where you'll be in 7 more years. Like, it's just super exciting for you for that. And kind of like how I mentioned earlier to you, that I love how when you first opened, you knew what you knew how to bake, but then you took classes to learn other things, and you didn't know how to make coffee. And so you hired somebody who was able to help with that. Now you're learning and you're perfecting, working on your latte art, and you're going to get that. And who knows what else you'll add on into your menu item. Well, Rebekah, I have one more question for you. And this is the question that I love to ask all of my guests. And so I would love to hear what you have to say for that as well, which is a similar question to the last one, but also different. So if you could encourage one woman who wants to pursue something, whether it's a business or some other type of endeavor, but they feel blocked to pursue that dream or that goal based on their age, her age, or her life circumstance, what would you tell her?
I would tell her that if she has a passion, just keep working towards it. Take small steps every day. And some days it's going to feel like it's 10 steps back and it's going to be hard and you're going to want to quit. But from those days and those experiences, you learn and you keep growing and you move forward. And eventually you will realize you are living your dream.
I love it. I love that you're living your dream. You're doing it, girl. Way to go. Rebekah, where can people find information about the Bekery and on their social media, and then you, or promote the Bekery even more?
So on social media, the Facebook and Instagram are the only social media one. I am not a big TikToker. Um, and on Instagram, it's the Bekery LLC. And if you ever come to Lake Charles, we're in Walnut Grove at 2040 East Walnut Street, a cute little neighborhood, really close to downtown. Um, yeah.
Well, perfect. Well, we'll find you there. And to my family in Lake Charles, if you have not visited, you need to go visit the Bekery, meet Rebekah, tell her hi from me. And Rebekah, I'll come visit you too next time I'm in Lake Charles. Thank you so much for just sharing your story. I loved it. I loved just hearing how you got started, how there was improvement, just your growth, your honesty with everything. And I can't wait to see what your bakery does in the years to come. So thank you, Rebekah, for joining the More Than Your Age podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.